It's Friday again. We made it, Dr. Mac.
Yes.
How are you doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
Woo, I am exhausted. It has been a long week.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I think everybody can say that pretty much. But I'm glad we're here.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, and thank you all for tuning in to the Network Live. You know, we're here every Friday at 4 p.m. to give you great information through, of course, Dr. Winston McIver Jr., primary physician and owner of Walkamar Primary Care. And our other co-host will be joining us a little bit later, Marilyn Hemingway of the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce. And I'm April Garner, network founder. And so today we have a couple of things going on. I think you'll appreciate and enjoy the information today. First of all, we're going to have some COVID-19 updates with Dr. McIver, just kind of talk about what's happening. I know you all are following the information and you are very aware that we have some things going on across the area. But of course, he always shares our national information as well as local info. So we'll get that information. And then we have a special guest, Micheal Lamont of Micheal Lamont Clothiers and Micheal Lamont Neckwear Incorporated. He's going to be on after our COVID-19 updates to talk about optimizing social media for your business strategy so that you can make sure that you have another way to keep your business afloat should you run into situations such as what we've had to endure with the coronavirus. But here's some creative ideas and some awesome thoughts, and he'll share some information with us a little bit later on. So Dr. Mag, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with some COVID-19 updates?
Okay. Thank you, April. Again, glad to be here. Over the last 7 days, worldwide numbers, the number of COVID cases worldwide have gone from 6.8 million to 7.6 million. And the number of deaths worldwide has gone from 396,000 to 426,000. In the United States, over the last 7 days, the number of cases have gone from 1.9 million to 2.1 million, and the number of deaths has gone from over 111,000 to over 116,000 deaths in the U.S. South Carolina specifically, in the last week, the number of cases have gone up 3,000 from a little over 13,000 to a little over 16,000. And the number of deaths have gone from 538 to 588. Now, these are numbers that have not, the Friday's numbers have not been released yet. They usually have been releasing those around 5:30, anywhere between 5:30 and 7. Now, the biggest jumps have been in Horry County and Georgetown County. Over the last week, the number of cases in Horry County has gone from 536 cases to 849 cases in the last week. The number of deaths have gone from 29 to 33 in Horry County. In Georgetown County, the number of cases have gone from 82 to 117. 82 to 117. Still 4 deaths in Georgetown County. And in Marion County, the number of cases in the last week have gone from 67 to 86 cases, with still 5 deaths. So the numbers are increasing. Now, part of the reason the numbers are increasing is because there's more testing that's being done. But like I tell people all the time, you know, because they're saying, well, the numbers are going to go up if we're testing. Well, not necessarily if we're doing the right things. More testing shouldn't necessarily mean more positive tests. It just means that it's spreading.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, almost every day this week has been a new record number of cases in South Carolina and in Horry County. Yesterday, there was 687 new cases in South Carolina. 687 new cases. Mm. Now, one other thing that has come about in South Carolina is that for the first time, South Carolina has gained twice as many new cases compared to the nation. Now, the way that number comes about is they actually scaled the number down based off of 10,000 people. So it's called a scaled number per capita. So in other words, the scale number per 100,000 people in the United States gained 330 new cases in the United States, whereas in South Carolina, it was 700.
Oh my gosh.
So what we have to do, so you can compare apples to apples and orange to orange, you have to scale these numbers down to kind of get a sample size of the United States compared to a sample size in South Carolina. And again, that's usually done in increments of 10,000 people or 100,000 people. For this study, it did it based off of 10,000. So the U.S. gained 330 new cases per 10,000. South Carolina gained 700 cases per 10,000. That increase was about 0.6% in the U.S. as opposed to 1.3% in South Carolina. So the numbers are increasing, and they're significantly increasing, primarily because of what's been going on around here and the beaches and things like that over the last 3 weeks. It typically will take about 10 days to 2 weeks, 10 days to 3 weeks, and you will start seeing these numbers reflect the activity that's been done. We had Memorial Day. We had the weekend when the beaches opened, the weekend before Memorial Day. We've had a number of rallies and marches that have been happening in the area where, quite honestly, a lot of people are not wearing masks. And so, again, those numbers are doing exactly what was expected would happen. As far as Horry County specifically, yesterday there were 79 new cases in Horry County, which was the highest number to date. The curve of cases in Horry County going straight up. We knew it. We talked about the nursing homes in Loris and in the city and the outbreaks that they had, and the areas around Horry County and Georgetown County. And these numbers are going up. They're definitely going up. One thing that was also looked at was trends. There were on Wednesday, it was reported that 14 states and Puerto Rico had the highest 7-day average of new cases. 14 states and Puerto Rico had the highest 7-day average of new cases since this pandemic started. The states are Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Florida, Kentucky, New Mexico, North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi, Oregon, Tennessee, Texas, and Utah. The highest 7-day average since the pandemic was, since it became a pandemic. So what does it mean? Couple things that have happened. Number one, the World Health Organization had to go back on a statement that they made earlier that they felt like asymptomatic people with COVID were not as infectious as symptomatic people. And they had to go back on that. They came off with that statement based off of a few small studies, but since more studies have come out, they've had to go back and recant that, to say that they probably were wrong and that probably the asymptomatic carriers can spread just as much as the symptomatic carriers. And that's important when it comes down to doing the proper things, social distancing, strict hand washing, wearing these masks. It's very important. And if we don't look at this and we don't take it seriously, this will linger on and on and on. So that happened. There was another study that was done that had to do with the expected number of deaths. And so what happened with that was that new models and new projections came out to show that it's anticipated by September that there's a good possibility that there'll be 100,000 more deaths by September.
Dr. Mack, can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
And ask this question before I forget, and for one.
Right.
So when you think about the numbers and the trends that you all are studying and you have seen even just over the past 7 days, how does that make you feel as a physician, knowing what physicians and nurses and other medical practitioners went through at the start of the coronavirus. Do you think that, are we prepared for this second wave? And I can only imagine that you all are approaching some type of burnout, and you're talking about this projection for September. It's scaring me, making me a little anxious, and I know other people who are listening probably are. But as the physicians, what are you all? At least, what are you thinking?
Well, it's a range of emotions because again, it's anger, it's frustration, it's that the message still needs to keep getting pushed out, that this has not gone anywhere. Again, I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it. The virus is the constant. It's not going anywhere unless we as the variables do our part. Mm-hmm. If we as the variables do our part, then we can reduce these numbers. But again, the trends now, and here's another thing that's happening now, the newest trends are seeing that the highest surging infection rates are happening in areas that have less than 60,000 people. So in rural America.
Areas. Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is that these areas are typically and historically have the sickest people, have the least limited amount of medical resources. Again, we've got 12 counties in South Carolina that don't even have hospitals. So when you're talking about these areas, these smaller rural areas that are getting hit, they're considered medical deserts. In other words, they're not as sufficiently staffed with physicians as there need to be. So people are having to drive 20, 30, 40 miles for medical care, or just stay at home and just keep past it in their community.
And is it still widely affecting the Black community, African American?
It still is. I mean, it still is. Now, what's happening is, and this has kind of been a trend where we're having more, less people of color getting tested, but more people of color dying. And again, it gets down to medical history. It gets down to access to health care. It gets down to finances. It gets down to people not being able to afford their medication. So they've got to decide, I'm going to pay my light bill versus I'm going to go and get my insulin or my asthma medicine, or things that are vital and crucial to keep their health and safety and well-being going. It's estimated from the same Harvard research model that was done, they're expecting 800 to 1,000 people to die in the United States every day.
Oh my God.
800 to 1,000.
Wrap your mind around that, everybody.
Well,
800 to 1,000 people every day. That's almost 30,000 people within a month's time.
We're already at 116,000, which is a medium-sized city that died in the U.S. So, I think there's amount of lax attitude about this. Yeah. And it starts from the top on down, and a lot of folks just don't believe it. But these numbers are what they are. I mean, they are what they are.
Well, that it's I won't even say interesting, because I don't think interesting is the appropriate word, but when you hear our elected officials say, we know the cases are increasing, but we're not shutting business down, we're moving forward, everyone just has to be accountable for how they govern themselves. And I was talking to someone earlier today, and the person mentioned, of course, we're in the Myrtle Beach area, that the other day they passed by Myrtle Waves, and there was a ridiculous amount of people who were out at that amusement park having a good time and definitely not practicing social distancing. How can you wear a mask when you're at a water park? And it's just...
Listen, April, for God's sake, we're about to have 10-day Horry County Fair here. Exactly. July the 3rd through the 12th.
Exactly.
A 10-day county fair where we've just been deemed less than 72 hours ago a hot spot. And I get it. I get the finances. I get the financial into it. I own several businesses. I get it. but we're in the middle of a pandemic. And I just don't understand the thought behind this, the sense of urgency. And it's not going to become a real issue to these people until something happens to somebody that's close to them or somebody or them. Mm-hmm. And it's a range of emotions that every physician I know that I've talked to about this is having. There's been over 600 nurses worldwide that have died from COVID-19. Over 600. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's stunning. It's disappointing. I can't even think of all the words to
describe it. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I think people, for whatever reason, they're ignorant to the fact that, and I think it's selective ignorance, really. I think people know, but they just want to do what they want to do. Right. But, you know, even in the past few weeks when there were some things that I guess we can deem necessary or that kind of happened because of conditions and situations in the country, meaning these demonstrations and protest events that were happening, you know, how quickly other people could become affected from gatherings of large groups. And there's just so many dynamics that are at play right now. It's like the perfect storm almost.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything, well, I won't say there isn't anything that we can say we can continue to do what we're doing, but I just want to know when the light bulb is going to finally come on for people who are, you know, won't even do the minimum that they can do to try and curb this pandemic. I just don't know what else can be said. And there are people on both sides of the table. This isn't a white thing or a black thing or whatever. I mean, I've heard people in our community say they don't believe in the numbers. They don't believe there's a coronavirus. It's the government. It's this. You're a physician, and you said it every Friday for the past 12 weeks or so, and yet some of this, you know, there's still the sentiment, and I just don't know where that mindset comes from that you don't believe in the scientific, factual evidence. Like you have time to just sit here and make up information, or, you know, even some of these organizations that we find credible and resourceful, we don't believe the information that's being disseminated. So I don't know what we're going to do, but you're right. Horry County State Fair coming.
They're having several things at the track and over the next month. You know, I just
let me throw this out at you. There's a comment here. Someone posted, and thank you, Angelia Robinson, for watching. That someone said they feel safe at the water park because the chlorine in the water will kill COVID-19. Look at Dr. Mack's face. It's just, I mean, it's almost, I hate to laugh at people, but it's just kind of like, where do we get those, where does that conclusion come from?
I mean, every time I've been to Myrtle Waves, which I like Myrtle Waves, every time I've been there, it's been a bunch of people. I mean, you're walking by people. Listen, it has to be a certain amount of common sense that has to come about.
Right.
I mean, I can tell you the water's wet, but you may not realize that until it gets thrown on you.
You got that right, or you're drowning in it.
And you know, this is real. I don't know what it's going to take for people to really realize that, other than individuals who have individual things happen to them, somebody in their family, a loved one, or what have you. And you certainly don't want that to happen. But I think that's what it's going to take. I don't know if there's a magic number. I don't know if these numbers get up to 140,000 and then people automatically say, well, you know what? That's a lot of people. I don't know what it's going to take.
And maybe that is the dynamic that, you know, these numbers have always, you know, they've been like to people dribs and drabs. And like you said, it would take a mass I hate to say killing, but or mass number of deaths at one time in one particular area, for example. And just think about this, people. People would probably believe it if everyone who went to a demonstration over the past weekend all of a sudden became sick, and unfortunately, some people, you know, died because of it. And it's a shame that it would take that for people to realize that this thing is real, you know. Right.
Well, what happened was that I just read a report that that some of the National Guard that Trump called to the White House, some of those National Guard officers tested positive for COVID.
I read that.
Again, I'm all for protest. I'm all for marching. I'm all for that. I get it. I think it's needed. But please wear these masks. Wear these masks. I can't say it any plainer than that. People can't say it any plainer than that. It is important.
It's important.
And numbers of the hospital numbers are going up. Hospital numbers are going up.
Capacities are probably almost reached. I'm sure in a lot of cases.
I mean, it's getting there. It's getting there. It's definitely getting there. Now, speaking of masks, there was actually a study that was done on masks that was just published yesterday, actually. And the new models that looked at masks and things like that still show what we know is that there are benefits of wearing masks. The study revealed that a lockdown alone will not stop the spread of COVID. So just locking stuff down will not stop it. But lockdowns in conjunction with the mask can vastly diminish the resurgence of these COVID cases. They're talking about vaccines coming out. I don't know when that's going to happen. It's hard for me to imagine them coming out with a vaccine before the end of this year. It's possible, it may be, but it's considered a fast track. But again, that's just something that we'll just have to see. Studies show that people who wear masks in public that are not having symptoms is twice as likely to decrease the numbers compared to just wait until you have symptoms. In other words, what it was saying was that it's better to wear a mask all the time as opposed to just waiting until you feel a little funny. Okay. And speaking of masks, it doesn't have to be a surgical or respiratory grade mask. Just having something over your mouth and nose with a reduction of at least 50% of the particles that you would normally inhale without the mask can significantly reduce the numbers of COVID that's being spread. So in other words, something over your face is better than nothing at all.
And you've preached that the entire time. Exactly. And they appear to be more plentiful and, a little bit easier to get now. And I see that also the disinfectants are kind of coming back, but it won't be long before it's hard to find those materials as well. And so I've even seen masks for sale in packages in convenience stores.
Oh yeah.
So there's no excuse, because there are people I've talked to and they're like, well, I don't have any. Well, go buy some.
Right.
And if you can't, let somebody know. And I'm sure that somebody has a resource to get you. And YouTube will show you how to make some. So, I mean, it's just people being selective about what they want to do.
Right.
And just that, I don't know. It just baffles me every single week when we go over this information. And now that things are happening, what we said would happen weeks ago is happening now. It is, it's June and the numbers are increasing. And I just I don't know what else we can do other than just keep giving them the information, and we'll see what happens. Marilyn Hemingway has joined the stream. Hey, Marilyn, how are you today?
Hey, I'm fine. How are you, April?
We're good.
Hi, Miss Marilyn. How you doing?
I'm doing good. A little rushed, but we're doing good. We're making it happen.
Good
I was
to see you.
listening to the conversation. It's always good to see you.
Yes.
Always good to see you. I was listening to the conversation. So, April, I'm with you. We've been talking about this for weeks now, and sharing good information from Dr. McIver, Dr. Bell, all the other guests we've brought on, and we knew this was going to happen. And what gets me is that the governor is so busy trying to blame personal responsibility. He knew this was going to happen, and now he wants to reopen bowling alleys. It make sense for me. Somebody make it make sense for me. Because I don't want to get paranoid and think they just want to kill us, but they've got to understand that's the results of it, though. With that, that people, they have calculated that they're willing to live with a certain amount of people dying.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the epitome of evil. When you put profits over people.
Right.
What we need to do as a community is make a decision that we are not going to play that game.
Right.
And that's why you need to wear the mask. You need to wash your hands and use hand sanitizer and stay home. And Dr. Mack, I heard you with the march and everything. I helped advise one in Georgetown, but we decided from the first meeting that we were going to encourage mask wearing. We put it on the poster, and it just so happens Thailand's Health stepped up and they came out and gave out the N95 mask. Giving them out.
They've done a wonderful job. They've done a wonderful job. They've done a wonderful job.
Yeah.
They helped me tremendously at Coastal. They've done a wonderful job.
And I think
I could say most people were wearing masks at the march. I didn't see anybody not wearing a mask.
Right. And I just think that from the standpoint of, any future demonstrations or protests, as an organizer, just maybe it's a part of the responsibility that you have for organizing events like this, where you're asking people to come out in large numbers and support. Find a healthcare organization, or a hospital facility or whatever that can help you with that. And I know that some of the events that took place in Conway, at least one of them, masks were actually given to people who did not have any. So if everybody will do their part. I just want to acknowledge some of the comments that are coming in through the thread as well. Wendy Bradshaw Willis, my homegirl, thank you so much for joining us today. Wendy actually came from New York, and she just made a comment that it's amazing the difference of how people are not taking the virus serious along the Grand Strand. And I think Wendy, if you're coming from New York, where there was so much devastation behind the coronavirus and so quickly, it will make you just kind of pause in your tracks and think about what's going on around you when you see that people are actually down here vacationing. And I know that we have to get back to business and people have to open their doors and, return to business. But, that's one of the reasons why we even have our special guest here today, who in just a little while will talk to us about why it's important to, think about these things just in case you have in a pandemic situation. Of course, it's something that we did not bargain on, but you got to figure out ways to keep it safe. And, because everybody has that responsibility. And I think, maybe in the next couple of weeks, Dr. Mack brought this up, maybe we can have some people on who will talk about what measures they've taken to make sure their businesses are safe for their patrons and employees. And, just kind of share some thoughts, because maybe some ideas you have may help other business owners who, don't know how to go about it or don't have the resources or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's business as usual here in South Carolina. And it's only going to get worse. People wait until 4th of July weekend. Like you said, Horry County State Fair is coming here. 10 days. There. I can't even imagine how in the world there's going to be any social distancing or anything like that, because people are going to flock to that fair, regardless of what we believe. They're going to go. They're going to go for that turkey leg. They're going to go for a number of reasons. And it's unfortunate, So if you have any comments or questions for our guest and for Dr. Mack and Marilyn, and of course, joining us in just a moment as our special guest for the day, please post them in the comments and I'll moderate the questions and comments, because we really want to have this discussion today. And if any of you have any thoughts or ideas of that we can share with officials that we're speaking with and people who need to know how the public feels, please let us know, because I know Marilyn doesn't mind sharing information. She doesn't mind sharing information, and I don't mind, because I do it twice a week, so it is what it is, and we just gotta help each other out. We gotta look out for one another. So, Dr. Mack, you have anything else for us along the lines of COVID updates, or anything else you want to say before we move on to our special guest?
No, just people just need to be diligent about what they're doing. Understand that the virus is still there. Understand that we haven't even gotten out of the first peak yet. So, I mean, we're talking about second phase, second peaks, third peaks. We hadn't even gotten out of the first one yet. Statistically, it was thought that 14 consecutive days of decreasing numbers would show signs that it was under control and contained. We have not had that. We've not had that at all. So it's important. It's not a game. You know, unfortunately, there, 116,000 people that have died in the United States. There's 116,000 families that lost loved ones. And this is not a joke. It's not a game. It's serious. And it needs to be taken as such.
Someone just commented, thank you, Amanda Butler, for viewing and being with us every week. Why? Well, I think we kind of know the answer to why wearing masks has not become a mandatory thing. It becomes that discussion of people's rights, and look at Maryland. Right. We can't require people to do this and we can't require people to do that. But in a state of emergency and with a with a global health crisis, you would think that that would be a mandate, but it's not. Marilyn, you have any insight on why, other than what we already know?
For historical reasons, and this goes back to white supremacy, and I'm not being paranoid, but if you look at it historically, explaining, we come from an area that had a lot of plantations, South Carolina, in particular Horry, Georgetown, entire coast, and they have always pushed this mantra of lifting yourself up by your bootstraps, this individualism. I made it by just my hard work, etc. And this is a mentality that is playing into this, that you can't tell me what to do. And it's a very Southern thing. It's a very Southern thing. And you look at who Trump appeals to, you look at our governor, that's who they are appealing to. And unfortunately, at this time, it's playing into deaths of over 116,000 people that were preventable. These were preventable deaths. And it's about getting reelected also. They're playing politics with our lives. So it's really bigger than the pandemic. It is a continuing historic thread. If you look at the history of the United States, this pandemic is just one more knot on that thread. And also with the civic unrest, what happened with George Floyd, that is also another knot in that historic thread. Have no doubt that these people have calculated that it's all right for a certain number of people to die. The mantra, the messaging changed once they realized that this disproportionately impacted Black people. Prior to that, the messaging was somewhat getting towards we got to shut down. But once they realized this disproportionately impacts Black people and brown people and poor white people, so let's make no mistake.
I think she froze.
Yeah, she's frozen.
I'll say this too. Whenever healthcare.
So I'm not to get in, we have a special guest coming on, but people really need to understand that, and that's not being paranoid, and that's why I go back to the community needs to take care of itself. Let those folks who want to go bowling and do their stuff. If you want to go bowling, we are in America. That is your right. But understand the consequences of it. Understand what's really going on and make the best choice. And I just had this conversation earlier with someone today that we as a community really need to start understanding those consequences. And they're killing us slowly by a pandemic, and they're killing us quickly by the bullet. And people need to understand the context of it.
One thing I'd say too, is that whenever healthcare becomes a political item, people die. Because the people that are making these decisions have the best of healthcare. Their families have the best of healthcare. And they're voting on things that really doesn't directly or proportionally affect them. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that this idea of wearing a mask became a political thing from the beginning. From the beginning, it was thought that this was fake news and a hoax. From the beginning, there was, just I'm not going to wear this mask from the president. From the beginning, you've got the president and vice president going into factories where people work without wearing masks, sending a clear signal that they did not only not believe it, but even when they started believing it, they started saying foolish things like hydroxychloroquine, take that. What do you have to lose? Mm-hmm. That was stupid. Mm-hmm. Or stuff about the disinfectants, which I'm not even gonna say anything about that. That's just nonsense. But it became a political thing as opposed to a ethical and a moral thing. And when ethics and morals aren't used and political ideology becomes a standard, people will die. And when people die, the people that lived in rural areas, less fortunate, poor, are the ones that are affected tremendously. And it is horrible, it is disgraceful, and it is an absolute travesty that this is happening.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I remember having a conversation with somebody back in January, before we had the first, known case at the time in the United States, because we actually don't know how long it's been in the United States.
That's right.
And the question was, Dr. McIver, do you think that this was back in January? Do you think that this will become an issue in the United States? And my answer to them at that time was, I don't think it's going to be a major issue. And the reason I said it was because I thought we were more prepared than what we were. Mm. Again, pandemics happen. Pandemics are going to always happen. So it's not a surprise this happened. The surprise is we weren't ready for it when it happened.
Right.
That's the surprise. Not that it happened, but that we weren't ready for it. And at the rate we're going, we're certainly not going to be ready for a second peak. If it happens, we're not going to be ready for it, or a third peak, or God forbid, another pandemic. Mm-hmm. So in that regard, that's the disappointing thing. That's the thing that has me surprised the most, is we weren't ready for it. Now, let me address something. I see a question on here from a good friend of mine from college, Bobby Pettigrew down in Atlanta. And his question was, what are your thoughts on kids going back to youth sports such as baseball and volleyball now when the pros haven't even gone back yet? That's a very good question, Bob. And Bob's a very intelligent guy. I've known him since college. Good brother from Morehouse. And I'm not really for that. I'm not really for these youth sports going back right now.
Right.
Unless you've got a very good social distancing phased in approach on how these kids will come back. Because, again, even on the college level, we've had to slow the roll down on who comes back and that kind of thing. But a lot of these youth sports are going full speed with what they're doing. And I don't agree with that right now. Mm-hmm. Now football is going to happen. Okay. Football is going to happen, whether people agree with that or not. The issue is not so much football starting, but it's whether or not we're going to be able to finish the season. Because it's not going to take but a certain number of people on the team for this thing to spread, and you got to shut it down. Mm-hmm. So the football is going to happen. Now, when school starts back, I don't know. That's going to happen too. But it's not going to take but so many cases to shut that down too.
I read that the task force that's charged with trying to figure out how to restart public schools in August has somewhat of a plan. And I read the article and I was trying to visualize what they outlined for school in the fall. I think it's ambitious. I don't know.
I don't
You
know.
know what's so interesting about this? On my show on a gathering place, we had Yaner Baryam, MIT physicist, who they have endcoronavirus.org. And he talked about if we simply shut down for 5 weeks the country, we could clear this out. And
Yeah.
I look at New Zealand. I look at New Zealand shut everything down.
Yeah.
And they control who's coming into that country. They do the thermometers, everything. They do not have a pandemic case right now. They have eradicated it in the country of New Zealand. And it's
Okay.
not just New Zealand, it's other Asian countries because they shut down. They wore face masks, they do the hand sanitizer and the hand washing. They know the social distancing, and they have eradicated this pandemic.
Right.
And in America, we can't do it. But what really frustrates me is we're lying to the people. Our elected officials are lying to us.
Right.
So we have to take care of ourselves. Because they are more concerned about making money than saving lives. You know, and this thing with the schools and people are saying it's going to cost so much money. Well, imagine if we shut down for 5 weeks and then got our act together. We wouldn't have to practice the social distancing and spend all this money, and people still going to die because you will not be able to social distance enough once you bring a large group of people together. We don't have school buildings built to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We simply don't. And I don't see us building new schools between now and the beginning of the school year to adjust to social distancing. So anybody, once you bring in these large crowds together in a building, people are going to die. So the decision has to be made. Who are you willing to look at in your family and decide who you're going to send to that situation? That's the decisions. We got to be real here. This is not a game. And who are you willing to sacrifice in your family and take them, send them back into schools, wherever the situation is where a whole bunch of people gathering together? And that's why we have to just come together as a community and say, enough is enough. We're not willing to die for this. We are not willing to die for the almighty dollar anymore. And what do we have to do to shut it down in our community? Because our elected officials are telling you, we're going to go, because I can tell you that task force, do they have any labor representatives on that task force? Do they have any family representatives on that task force? These task force are heavily tilted towards business people, getting us back out as fast as possible.
Well, maybe then this is a cause that some of these demonstration organizers need to add to their list, because the demonstrations can't just be about national hot button topics. They have to be about local issues. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying let's go out and protest tomorrow because of what's happening, what's not happening in South Carolina. But what you talked about is a very concrete issue in this area. And, you know, maybe that's hearing from the common people, which we are, you know, we are the people. You know, maybe that will help our elected officials to understand what we need them to do as they fight to make sure, or at least they, you know, get into the arena of the fight to make sure that we're protected and that they've thought of everything and they've considered all of the consequences. And hopefully, I don't know, I just don't know. I don't know what the outlook is going to be. You know, we've heard these facts and figures from Dr. McIver today, and it sounds very, very much like gloom and doom because we know what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. So, you know, at some point, we're going to have to shift our energies to do something a little different and maybe get more the attention of our elected representatives so that they can take it up the chain. And Marilyn, you know, you're definitely one of those persons who, you know, is out there front line making it happen. So let's make it happen. We're going to shift gears now and bring on our special guest because, of course, we can go on and on about this topic. But, of course, joining us right now as we kind of jump off of the heaviness and get down to some information that will hopefully help some of you business owners who are watching today to understand what you need to do in order to just, amp up your creativity and get your business going in the right direction again. We have Micheal Lamont joining us today. Hi, Mike. How are you doing?
How's everyone?
Hello.
Good.
Make sure you're not muted.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay, great. We sound good. Yeah. Yes, you're all good. Okay, so Dr. Mack is going to introduce us to Micheal, and then we're going to ask him a few questions. He's going to talk about how to optimize social media for business success and his formula for success and some other questions that we have for him, because he has a very unique strategy for what he's been doing with his clothier business. And so, Mike, thank you for being with us today. And Dr. Mack, if you will introduce us to I'm going to call you Mr. Lamont, even though you said I should call you Mike.
Yeah. So about 2 months ago, I got this link to check this brother out named Micheal Lamont. It came from a college friend of mine, Larry Crump. Crump and I went to college together at Morehouse. So he sends me this link. Check this guy out. He's got some nice stuff. So I'm thinking, well, I don't know, people sending stuff, trying to sell stuff, this, that, and the third. But I got on and I saw what this man was selling. And I was like, this is good stuff. Now, when I got my first bow tie in my first round, I told my wife, I said, honey, we're in trouble. I said, because this is top-notch stuff. Mike, in getting to talk to him and he'll tell you more about what he does when he talks, but he's out of New Jersey and he is taking business and business savvy and how you market yourself and your business to a whole nother level. And so when April and I discussed this, I said, well, April, I've got an idea for a show. Tell me what you think about it. I've been introduced to this young man named Micheal Lamont, who has a unique way of marketing himself, his business, and what he does, and it's top-notch stuff. Mm-hmm. And when I grabbed this first bow tie that he sent to me, and I saw the quality of that, I was like, this is high-level, high-end stuff.
He's getting all of your coins, basically.
And people who know me, they know I rock the bow ties. I've been giving my old bow ties away left and right now, and I'm collecting Micheal Lamont. Now, I'm going to be quiet in just a second, but I do want to say this. He has this thing called the Wolf Pack, where it's people that have been with him for years and years. And my goal, and I think I'm close, I don't know, I might be on Wolf Pack status. But he's got this thing called Wolf Pack status that, he'll tell you all about that. But I feel honored to have this man with us. He's a minister. He's a man of God.
Wow.
But he's going to talk about businesses in general and how to have them survive during this time and how to be creative in what he does. But it's my honor to introduce Micheal Lamont, who does his own stuff. This is his business. He makes his own stuff. Bow ties, rounds, shirts. He sells shoes. His brother has it going on. So without further ado, I'm going to let you do what you do.
Thank you so much, man. Listen, I had no idea that my customer, Dr. Winston McIver Jr., was such a big shot doctor. Look,
oh, man, come on.
I might let you in the Wolf Pack just because of that, bro. I didn't know that, my customers were such a, But thank you guys so much, man, for this opportunity and this invitation to be part of your forum. I'm very, very big on small businesses and have always been big on small businesses. And I always said a long time ago, if I ever come into a lot of money, I want to help small businesses from a philanthropist perspective. And because it's when you understand the mechanics of a small business, you realize that it's not an easy thing to do. People look at small businesses and say, oh, I want to own a business. I want to go into business. And because they look from the outside and they see the privileges or some of the things or some of the perks that you can get from having a business, but they don't see the other side. And, so I'm really into small businesses and helping small businesses as much as I can. I came up with this, and I posted on my page not long ago before I get into what I do on social media. The top 10 ways on how to support a Black business. Because we are very, very, we're not good when it comes down to supporting our own African-American businesses. Many of our businesses die at an early age, under 5 years, because we don't get the proper support from its immediate community. And so we don't survive those first 4 or 5 years. So number one was, I'm gonna just go through these real quick. First of all, pay the price on the merchandise. Prices are calculated to cover our overhead, just not to cover our fabric. We got to pay our employees, and we got to pay the contractors. We got to pay the electricity and all that other stuff that causes our business to run. Number two, shop when there is no sale. If you only shop during sales, then you're not supporting us. We're supporting you. Okay. Shop when there's no sale. Number three, do not ask for the hookup. You know, do not ask for the hookup. We will not be offended if you shop somewhere else for lesser quality, but please respect our craft and our gifts. And number four, respect our business hours of operations. We have families too. You know, I had people calling me 11 o'clock at night for a bow tie. You know, there is no emergency bow tie. So, you know, respect hours of operation. Number five, if you are dissatisfied, talk to us and not about us. You can help us become better as small businesses. Number six, do not play our business against one another. The goal is to grow as one strong community. Number seven, do not steal another Black business ideal and call it your own.
Great.
Stealing from each other will never move us forward. All right. Please be short on cell phone calls while in our shops. Our time is valuable. Please connect us with other Black businesses that can utilize our products and service. Be an agent of networking. And last but not least, referrals, referrals, referrals. You are our best advertisement. So I've gotten a lot of feedback from that. And a lot of people want me to make a poster of it so they can put it up in their stores and stuff. So, but let's get to the issue. Social media is like, wow. It is by most small business an untapped institution of financial wealth for your business, despite what's ever going on. Despite, I don't care what's going on. We know there's a whole lot of things going on in our country that's crazy with the social injustice, the pandemic. These are major issues in our country. But with social media, while these things are going on, especially during the pandemic, there are millions of more people that are behind the computer screen right now. My business has boomed since the pandemic. We've done a whole lot better during the pandemic than we had before the pandemic had started. And it's because of the time that I spend, and I'm actually researching my customers, trying to find my customers, who my customers are. You know, like I was sharing earlier before I came on, you know, what I do is like for instance, Winston is a customer of mine. He's a happy customer, and I don't know of any unhappy customers. They don't tell me, but he's a happy customer. So what I do is I go on Winston's friends list and I look for people who dress, you know, and I send them a friend request, you know, because it's, if they're available, it's open that way in a sense where you have to take the initiative to reach out to these people to find out who your customer is, who your customer base is. So not long ago, I think maybe 6 or 7 years ago, my wife and I were on our way to church. And on our way to church, our little Nissan Altima broke down on the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey. So we're sitting there. I looked at her. She looked at me. And I said, why are we going through all of this? And we were really struggling financially. Why? Why are we going through all this? So I got to church. Preach, came home, and I said, you know what, hon, I was really depressed. So I said, let me go upstairs in my man cave, and I'm going to go on live, and I'm going to do a bow tie lesson. So the guys will come on, and they can see how to tie a bow tie. So when I went on, I'm doing a bow tie lesson. One guy said, hey, man, I like that bow tie. He says, I'll give you $80 for it. Then another guy came and says, I give you 85. Then another guy says, I give you 90. And another guy says, I give you 95. And God says, don't you get it? This is your breakthrough. And that's where the auction started. My live auctions on social media. So what we do is we set up these mannequins and we dress them in the store and we put items on them and we go on social media live, on Facebook Live. We go on public. We go on public. If you're going to do live social medias, selling your merchandise, your product on social media, make sure you go on public. That way people can share it and they can share it to their page. And that means you get many, many more people watching that are not your friends. Your friend requests will go through the roof. I have thousands of requests that I have not even answered yet. Just because people come on, they share, send friend requests, that friend will send a friend request, and it just goes on and on and on. Now, what Facebook has done was that they have provided us with the ability to what's called boost the page. If you have a business page, you can go onto the business page, and let me see, I'll show you real quick. You can go onto the business page, and when you boost your page, they give you the ability to choose your market, choose your audience, choose your demographic area, and they set it all up for you. If you can see here, this is my business page, and where it says on the bottom here, it says promote. I can click on promote, and now promote gives me, one second, here we go. Click on promote. And now promote gives me a whole bunch of options that I can do. This is all free. This is all free stuff until you boost your page. When you boost your page, like I'm set to $10 a day. $10 a day will get me up to 500 new people that my post goes in front of 500 new people per day that sees my post, that never saw the post before. You know, so there's things like this that you can actually do on your Facebook page that will generate revenue. Now, the way the auctions work is when I set up a mannequin, the guys will come on. I open them up at a very, very low number. Right, Winston? Winston's familiar with this. Winston is going to be a wolf pack. He's going to be one of my wolves yet. But we set up, so we open up at a very low number, and then we also give them a total retail value of our merchandise. So they begin to bid, and they bid against each other. They bid against each other until we get to the total retail value. Then we call what's it called, Winston?
You're on mute. You're mute.
Oh, he's on mute.
He's on mute. Yeah.
You know, what's that called, Winston?
Shut it down.
That's right.
Shut it down. You shut it down and swipe me. And then swipe me.
Right. And so what we do is we get once a person first wins our item, they have to call into the store. When they call into the store, we get all of their payment information, their shipping address, all the great information on them, contact information, and they will never have to call in again. So next time they go up, if they see something they like and they win, all they have to do is text in the comment section, swipe me. That confirms the purchase. So a customer can never come back and say, well, we didn't purchase. We take pictures of everything that a customer wins with the price under it that they paid for. These are all things that confirms the purchase and also keep good records of who bought what. At the end of the day, we charge everyone that day, and the next day, the next business day, the money that we did that day is in our bank account. Since the auctions have begun, we were averaging anywhere from $500 to maybe $900 an hour when the auctions begin. 5 years later, we now average anywhere from $1,300 to $1,900, maybe $2,000 an hour in our auctions. And our auctions run for about 3 to 4 hours every time we do an auction. So if you do the math, you're looking at about $7,000 to $8,000 in one auction for 3 hours. 3 hours worth of work. And if you do 2 or 3 auctions a week, then you're looking at some pretty good revenue. Now, this is while the pandemic is going on. You know, this is while, people are losing their, losing their businesses and their business folded because they're not taking advantage of social media. Social, and this, remind you now, this is being done on my personal page. This is not even done on my business page. If I was to do this on my business page, which I'm going to do, then it's going to be astronomical, because now I can hit something on my business page that will open up the demographics worldwide if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not waiting on them to hit my page. This is me sending signals to you to come to my page,
Mm-hmm.
which is just, I mean, it's incredible. It is incredible. I mean, take advantage of social media. But it's one thing to be a networking expert, but you also have to make sure that you're ready for social media advertisement. You have to make sure that your business is ready for social media. You have to make sure that you're ready to represent your business worldwide on social media, because this person either going to say, nah, I don't want to do this, or either they're going to love your presentation and they're going to tell friends.
Mm-hmm. So go ahead, Matt.
I'm real particular and discerning about what I wear, and I'm telling you, when I opened up that first bow tie, that package, I was like, this is next level stuff. I mean, I'm not just saying that because Mike is here.
And you're trying to get in the wolf pack.
Yeah. Hey, here's the thing. And I'm not gonna put him on the points. I'm not gonna put him on the spot as to what it takes to get in the wolf pack. but here's the thing. This is top quality. I mean, these bow ties, these are like, I mean, I've been in high-end stores. These are $300, $400, $500 bow ties that this guy, and he makes it himself.
I was going to ask you about the quality and materials. Tell us about that. Yeah.
Tell him about the braces. I mean, you know, and I mean, suspend braces. He makes all this stuff.
Yeah, we make neckties, bow ties, vests, ascots, pocket rounds, braces, or some people call suspenders. We're now doing custom suits. We're doing our own shirt line that we have. Wow. We're just expanding it. You know, we're carrying socks. We don't make our socks, but we're using London Sock Company. All our fabrics are actually imported from England. 98% of our fabrics. So we don't use, Chinese silk or anything like that. We use very, very high-end fabrics. So what we've done was and this whole thing, you have to really, to provide a really high-end product and get a good profit margin, you really have to spend a lot of hours of doing research. So we found a very, very good silk mill in England to produce the best quality silk that you can find in the world and get it at a very, very low cost. And this is why our merchandise is not $175 or $200 for a bow tie, which it can rightfully be based on what you would normally pay for a yard of silk. Mm-hmm. But we make everything here with the exception of the suits and the shirts. And we provide a very, very high-end product. And it's at an affordable price, an attractive price that calls people to say, okay, you know what? Just like Winston said, Dr. McIver said.
You're good. Winston's fine.
He mentioned the quality of our merchandise. Mm-hmm. When you're able to do that and we get that first bow tie in your house and you see, touch and feel the quality, you're coming back to our next auction. And that's our objective, to make sure that we provide a very magnificent product at a very, very aggressive price. We want to, just a little history of our business. This is a 28-year-old company. Mm-hmm. That I've been doing this for 28 years. We've been in GQ magazine, British GQ magazine, Menswear magazine, Old magazine, the cover, the biggest newspaper in New Jersey, Star Ledger, on News 12 New Jersey, is Best Kept Secrets. We've got celebrities on our wall that have our merchandise, athletes, celebrities from Robert De Niro to a whole bunch of people that actually wear our stuff and have worn our stuff. So we've been around for a minute, but what we want to do is not only have our items in your store, or not in your store, but in your home or in your drawer or in your closet, but we also want to educate. We want to educate men and build the image of especially our young Black men.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to do that, we want to also, like I do a lot of talks to the high school students and career days and things like that on image, but we want to also provide them with a quality product starting out. So we educate young men on quality fabrics, on, when you go into a store, just don't get anything, get something that represents who you want to become, and that's our aim.
That's the give back too, because it starts with that education. That's the give back.
Yeah.
I have there are two pieces to this question. Can you talk about the synergy between storefront and social media? Meaning, is your storefront business translating into your social media business, or are they starkly different? And also the importance of great customer service, because it sounds like you have a great customer service model as well.
Yeah. Okay. With the storefront, because we got into custom, guys like to touch, feel fabrics. They have to be measured, for a custom suit. So our store is operating in that sense for our customers who are not computer savvy. I have really, really great customers, some VIP customers that will not touch a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere near. They will not go nowhere near a computer. Some of them still have a flip phone, and they will not go near a computer. So they want to come into the store. So in our shop, what we try to do is we try to provide, it's a small shop, but we try to provide a very, very unforgettable experience when you come to our store. When we first opened this location, we had a 1920s concept where even my salespeople were dressed up in the 1920s, and they come in, they get that feel. As you can see, we have like a lot of things here is like old type,
vintage,
vintage type stuff. So you see pictures on the wall. So it's a nice little classy shop where people come in and get that experience. Now, social media does tie into that because I do a lot of advertising on what goes on in the store on social media. So there is a connection, but they are operating as two separate entities because social media is covering my customers that are out of state who cannot make the sale at the store. There was I stopped it maybe 2 years ago, but before that, every year I would have a Black Friday sale here at the store. Winston, close your ears.
All right.
Can't get in the wolf pack if you know this.
Exactly.
But 3 years ago, we would have a Black Friday sale where every item in the store was only $25.
Ooh.
Wow.
And
road trip.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Road trip.
People from North Carolina, from Washington, from Maryland, staying over the weekend, driving from Connecticut all the way here to New Jersey to line up outside our store at 5 o'clock in the morning. And we would have 40 to 50 people outside our store at 5 o'clock in the morning when we weren't going to open until 7. And we would fill the store up with merchandise, and it would just be mayhem in the store for that day. And so the store has its place for those people who like hands-on, and not only just hands-on and being able to buy stuff and touch stuff, but also the consultation, because I'm a stylist. There's some guys that won't admit it, but they need help. They need help. So on a sneak tip, they roll up in a Saturday, Mike, please don't tell nobody you put a hook on my bow tie, so the store definitely has its part, but I mean, it still cannot compare to the numbers that I do on social media and on our website. So
yeah, I was telling April, I mean, it's unbelievable how this thing runs so smooth. Now we can't let you talk too much, Mike, without mentioning the First Lady and Mina.
Oh yes, yes. I gotta, Mina, come in. In the building.
Yeah, bring her on.
Talk much about mentioning First Lady and Mina. Well, before she come, I gotta mention First Lady first, especially watching this. But my wife is amazing. She's amazing. She helps me out with the business. She's probably home right now. She's not watching this. She's probably home working on, you know, the taxes and all that stuff and dealing with the accountant and all of that things, you know, and that's another thing that I mentioned that before Mina comes on. If you're going to do sales on social media, if you have a business that is registered, make sure you do it not with Cash App. Don't take your payments. If you have a registered business, do not take your payments with Cash App. Take your payments with your merchant that you're using. Because a lot of people use Cash App and they think it's easy, but when it's tax season, it's very, very difficult for you to get all of that information, and Cash App don't run reports like your merchant will. So make sure you use your own credit card merchant to take payments and not Cash App. Okay. If you do not have a merchant, get you a merchant before you decide to sell on social media. Get you a merchant. All right. Because that merchant is going to provide you with the information that you need for your taxes. Yeah, all right. Mina.
Yeah, Mina's in the building.
Darla's in the building.
Darla.
Come on, Mina. This is my administrator. This is Mina. We're all dressed down.
Hi, Mina.
Hey, Mina.
How are you?
Hello.
All right.
Yeah.
Say hi to Facebook.
Yeah. We are. Look. I'm not ashamed. We all dressed down. I'm not ashamed of my outfit. Look, this was a waist up interview.
Exactly. You made it happen in a virtual environment. You did it.
But she is our administrator. She handles all the shipping. She is incredible when it comes down to customer service, which is very, very important.
Please talk about that. Yes.
People don't understand with the amount of business that we do, and it's only me and her that are doing the transactions, getting the mail out, doing the shipping, the packaging, and inventory control in the store, contacting customers, and it's not a dull moment ever.
Never.
In this store. Never a dull moment. You know, she earns her pay. She gets paid well, but she earns her pay. You know, but she's vital. She's vital. You know, matter of fact, I think I'm gonna give you a raise today.
Oh, we're gonna hold him to it, Mina.
I know.
We got you.
I am. And
It's recorded.
I have to, because business is more and we're doing more activity. So she's working harder. She's busier. You know, she's doing a lot more now than she's been doing. So I got to compensate her. You know, I got to compensate her. I mean, if I want to keep her, you know, I really appreciate her. She does a great job. She's really on top of customer service. Sometimes she's on my back. Michael, somebody call you. Better get back this. You know,
right.
But that's what I had asked her to do. Stay on me, because my mind is all over the place. You know, run the business, and also run the church. You know, so I'm constantly busy, and she understands that. You know, so she's an excellent administrator, been a help to the business. And if any customers come in contact with me, they will tell you, you know, she's very good on the service. You know?
Already have a fan.
We're not perfect, but we're not perfect, but we are perfecting on what we're doing. You know, we're trying to still nail down a system that is seamless from point of sale to it getting into your home.
All right. Well, that was awesome. Mina, it was a pleasure to meet you. Keep doing good work.
I know.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, keep doing good work.
Yeah, now back to work.
Take care.
Mike, there's a couple of people, some comments that I want to share with you. Someone wants you, actually, it's Edward McQueen, Brother Edward McQueen, Whittemore Community Magazine. He's viewing today. He wants you to elaborate a little bit more on the use of a merchant, since you were explaining the Cash App versus the merchant system.
Yes. Like we have a merchant, PNC Merchant Services, the one that do our credit card processing. And because they present you with good documentation to your bank, which provide your statements, which you give to your accountant, which helps you get your taxes done. Cash App don't have a person per se, not that I know of, a person per se that handles that transaction to transfer them to your bank with such very, very good pinpoint accurate records to get to, like Cash App. When Cash App sends money to your bank account, it just shows up in your bank account. With PNC Merchant Services, they have something like with mine, I use a Clover system. Clover system goes through my PNC Merchant Systems, PNC Merchant Services, and they establish all my documentation, my records, everything that I can find from each day. And not only that, I get like Winston McIver, he's set up in my POS system that can tell me everything that he spent, everything that he bought based on his card information. Okay. Right. And also it's it's more recognized in Cash App when you turn your information over to your accountant.
Right.
It's very, 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 very big because your accountant has access. Well, my accountant has access into my bank account, and he's able to look at all of my purchases and my relationship through my merchant services. Right. So it's a lot easier to use your merchant services already established than using via a Cash App.
Right.
Okay. I know a lot of businesses.
A lot of people don't have Cash App. Number one, if you're out in public and you're selling, people can easily flip out a card. You can have a mobile card swiper, which is connect to your merchant services and not lose that transaction or that sale. Right. Yes, so like a QuickBook, exactly, Mark. It works like a QuickBook, So and it's more trusted. It's more trusted.
Right. And the other thing too is that at the end of the auction, I get a text from Mike's company on how much I spent that day.
Yes.
So it's a receipt, the store address, how much I spent, the card it was put on, and so I keep that for my records.
Right.
And so that helps out on that end too, with record keeping on my end too.
Yeah. And that's all work that we do through our Clover system. Our Clover system actually sends you the receipt.
Right.
It sends it right to your phone number.
Right.
We can actually program that to actually send it automatically, or we can do it manually like we do it because some customers don't want it sent to their cell phone. They want it sent to their email address or no receipt at all.
Right.
Some guys just don't like receipts coming to the house that they spent $400 on bow ties. And on that note,
we're not talking about anybody on this live stream, I'm sure.
Protection program, from all wives.
I'm modeling one of the ties right now, and one of the rounds right now too. But I tell you, all the bow ties that I had before I started buying from him, and I look at those compared to this, and it's just like night and day. Even Mike, tell him about the how these ties stand up, the inseam that you put. What do you call it? The
inner lining.
Inner lining.
Like a lot of bow ties when you wear them. Let me see. Okay, I'm kind of disappearing there. A lot of bow ties when you wear them, they kind of flop down because they don't have the good construction or body construction. A bow tie should stand up when you tie it. You shouldn't have to mess with it for the rest of the day. We use a 3-stripe horsehair inner lining, which is a very high-end inner lining inside our fabrics, under the fabrics. And that gives it a very, very a nice firm, after you tie it, very nice firm tie where it won't bounce all over the place or flop down and look crazy. So our construction, again, it's all part of researching. And it took me a while to get here. It took me a while to get to this place to providing such a high-end product, but it's through trial and error. You got to learn, you got to compare your merchandise to other competition. And we have been researched by, and this is serious business. We have been researched by other large companies. I don't want to give any names, but if you're listening, you know who you are. But and they have checked out our merchandise. They've actually came into our store and bought our merchandise to actually look at it. And to open it up and to look at it. And we've had people come in. I had a guy who came in, bought a bow tie. Oh, I wish I could say anything, but bought a bow tie, took it home, took it apart, start making bow ties, and now he's in some large stores. But I learned that when a person copies you, that's the best form of flattery. And so you know, at first I was a little angry. I was like, oh, this copycat, you know, get your own idea. But then I started to look at it. I was like, he thought enough to come to my store. He heard enough about me to come to my shop, to buy one of my bow ties, to see what I'm doing. That makes it so unique. You know, and all of us have this incredible level of creativity in all of us.
In all of us, yes.
If you just tap into it. I mean, Winston's going to be the best Winston he can ever be. There's no one going to be beat that can beat him at being Winston. You know, and that's where all of us. But if we can just take time out to tap into our own creativity and turn our own creativity into dollars, you can't be beat. You cannot be beat.
And it sounds like you were patient and methodical about what you did. I think that sometimes people are remiss in creating a true business strategy because they're just so ready to turn the key and start the business that they haven't really thought about the A to Z and maybe everything in between. So, you know, you're totally preaching about strategy here, you know, and also, you know, tapping into your inner gift and listening to God along the way. And actually in the beginning, I remember a professor in grad school told me, pray before strategy, it'll come to you. And so, I mean, this is one of the things that when I'm telling you, Dr. Mack was so passionate about what you do, and he talked about the process, and I was like, it sounds like it's like a silent auction. He's like, yeah, it's an auction. You know, he was going on about it. And I thought to myself, yeah, this would be great for other business owners to hear, especially at a time like this. You're right. Creativity has to rise to the top. It's survival of the fittest right now. So, you know, you got to figure out how to do it.
It's an auction, but it ain't really silent.
I got that. I got that part. He was like, it's an auction. No, it's an auction.
Come in.
You get a little heated.
Oh, we coming in. Mike's gonna give it to you. Go give it to you.
Well, I think we all need to take a road trip and go see Mike. You're a lot of fun.
That's
I appreciate that.
But,
I appreciate that.
You know what? On a serious note, I could have done none of this. I've become successful in being able to buy whatever I want, go anywhere I want, when I want, by selling bow ties. Now, come on, that's nothing but God. That's nothing but God. Back in 2005, from 2005 to 2008, I was homeless.
Wow.
Didn't have a place. Didn't have a place to live. The place that I was staying was a place that a person let me rent out by just taking whatever I can make selling and living in that space that I had to work in. They didn't know I was living in there because they would have put me out, but they didn't know that I was not going home. So at night, I will go across the hall, sneak across the hall when I know security has made his rounds, go into the women's bathroom with a pail of, true story, with a pail about this big, fill it up with water, take it back into my little space, and that's what I use to wash up in. Nights I didn't eat. A lot of nights I didn't eat. At the same time, while I was a minister in the church, never complained about it. And
look at God. Praise him. Look at God. Woo! I feel that. I feel that, y'all. I have goosebumps.
And I'm sorry. Every time I tell this, it just gets a little. And did it for 3 years. 3 years. As a minister, I never complained about it. I would go to church. I would put my clothes up underneath the couch in my office I was sleeping on so that they would be pressed when I went to church. I'll go to church after service. It's like, hey, Mike, let's go hang out with your place. Nah, man, because I didn't want nobody to know my condition and what I was going through. So 3 years, I went through that and never, ever complained. Never, ever complained. And that happened to be the season and the time that I actually met my wife. And she saw some potential in me. You know, she's a Christian too, and she saw some potential in me, and she said, you know, I'm going to look at you for what you're going to become and not who you are. And it's crazy. She hates for me to tell this, but even in my condition, this woman got down on her knees, and I hope she's not watching because she hates me when I tell the story, but she actually kissed my feet outside the elevator and said, God told me you are my king, my covering, and a future priest of my house. And I told her, I said, you know what? I said, there's going to come a day where I'm going to take care of you and you'll never have to work again. And this is where we are today. True story. True story. And
we're going to wait on the book and the movie.
I heard
I
heard Mike tell this
that's amazing.
story. I heard Mike tell this story on another interview that he did, and I'm glad he got into it and told this story and gave this testimony. You know, again, there's something about this man, his business sense, his story, and again, you know, I've heard him tell this story, and again, it's amazing, and it's a tribute to what God can do when you let him do what he does.
Yes, absolutely amazing. Now, Matt, you didn't prepare us for this.
Right, I was hoping that he had got into it.
I'm glad.
I heard him about a month ago when he did another interview with someone. I forget the brother's name, but he comes on the auctions too. But you talked on his show, and again, you know, this is the real deal, and his product is the real deal. His story is the real deal. And again, like I told you, April, I thought this would be an excellent program for a number of different reasons, not just merchandise, which is top notch, but what he's saying, his story, and how he intertwines that with God.
Absolutely.
But you got to keep him first. That's the answer.
Absolutely.
You got to keep him first, man. You got to keep him first. Got to keep him first.
Well, I must say, I am particularly impressed with what I've seen and what I've heard. And actually, it's an honor for us to have you with us today, because you could have been doing anything. You're all the way in Maplewood, New Jersey, and you chose to hang out with some Southerners who trying to figure it out. And
I'm popular in the country. Why would you keep wearing them?
Exactly. So thank you so much. We really do appreciate you, Micheal Lamont. Micheal Lamont Netwear Incorporated, Micheal Lamont Clothiers. So it's such a blessing to have you here. And
tell them about the next auction.
Oh yeah, make it happen.
Well, our next auction is actually tomorrow morning. It's called Breakfast with Mike.
Breakfast with Mike? Yeah,
Breakfast with Mike. We start at 9:30, so we want you to get your toast, your bacon, and you know whatever it is that that you eat in the morning, your juice, whatever, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of energy. Like we play gospel house music when we're doing our auction, so it's a lot of energy in the background. You know, the guys come in, and this is the crazy thing. This is what let me tell you what the auction has done. The auction has created a network of incredible people. People who are about things, our people, who are about things that are doing things positive. And every year what we have is a tuxedo and gowns gala, where people who have met on the auction fly in from all over the country to our gala, strictly tuxedo and gowns. I posted some pictures on my page a couple months ago, the last one that we have, where we have Broderick Rice King, which is a very funny comedian, and he's from Detroit, very popular, famous comedian, and we have some singing groups come in, but it's where we all came together to just meet each other for the first time. It has established a family, and they call it the MLN family. Right. And these guys know each other. They become friends. They send friend requests. They get to know each other. And now everybody's just, and we're talking about at least about 700 or 800 guys who have all known each other now, you know? Yeah. So, and I didn't do it. They did it. All I did was just provide the platform. And it's all nice guys. They know I don't go for no junk inside my auctions. Ain't no cussing. You know, There's no insulting people. We don't do that. And it's just a very good, close-knit group of guys. And it has turned into something incredible. And it's growing. It's still growing.
Mike, tell them about the preview.
The preview?
Yeah, tell them about that.
The sneak peek?
The sneak peek. Yeah, sneak peek.
You want me to really tell them about it?
Yeah, tell them about it. Tell them about it.
Put it on there. Yeah. Yeah, put it on there.
Oh, the music?
Yeah. He want to hear about the sneak peek.
The sneak peek.
We're going to sneak peek with the sneak peek.
Hey, that's how I jump on real early, because if I see something I like, I'm on it.
In my backpack. Huh?
I said, if I see something I like, I'm on it.
Oh, our sneak peek is incredible.
Yeah.
For those who are coming into the store for the auction, does he require them to wear?
The auction happens
on social media.
Yes, on social media.
Social media. No one is coming into our store right now until further notice. The way we're doing on social media, no one might not ever come back in the store unless they want to come.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That might be just by appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, we're gonna show y'all what happens on our sneak peek. Nina, it's not coming on. Yeah, can you hook up your cell phone? Oh, here it is. Yeah, but our sneak peek, what we do for the sneak peek is we give them a preview of what we're going to be selling on the auction. And what these guys do that are coming on the auction, they get a chance to see what we have. So they're like, okay, yeah, I need that one. So I'm going to be on the auction. Yeah, okay, I need that for my black suit. So I'm going to be on the auction. So we give them a preview of what's happening. I think I lost everybody.
No, you're still on. I was giving you the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, you go ahead and do what you got to do.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I was looking, all I saw was myself. I was like, wow.
I want people to see this.
Oh, okay. All right. 1 second. Let me show y'all a sneak peek. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's coming back now, Matt. Yeah.
Here we go.
All right.
So this is how we do our sneak peek. Now, there's nothing on my mannequins right now. Nothing on my mannequins right now, but they would normally be dressed. We'll take them around the shop, show them what's up next. So you can use imagination and show the mannequins the dress. Here we go! Here we go! Yep. All right, we back, y'all. Come on, family. This is our sneak peek. Coming up next, tomorrow morning, breakfast with Mike. Yeah, Mike's gonna give it to you. We gonna give it to you. Gonna give it to you. Gonna give it to you. Mike's gonna give it to you. Gonna give it to you. Mike's gonna give it to you. Gonna give it to you. Number one in the country in haberdashery. That's right. Everything's handmade right here. 746 Prospect Street, Maplewood, New Jersey. Number one in the industry. That's how we do it. Mike's gonna give it to you. Number one in the country. Say it, Mike's gonna give it to you. 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 We cover shoes, pocket rounds, everything. High energy. Nothing but positive energy right here. We cover the celebrities, the stars. Everybody got it. Everybody know who we are. Yep. Say it, Mike's gonna give it to you. 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 Mina will be in the house helping us out. First Lady will be in the house helping us out. That's how we do it right here. Make sure you're here with us live tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Breakfast with Mike. We'll see you then.
I was over here jamming. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Now that's how you use the energy. That is it.
A lot of high energy. Get the guys excited and make it fun.
Yes.
That's why people really come. They come to buy the merchandise, but they know what they're going to encounter. They're going to have fun. We're going to laugh. There's guys in there. They're joking with funny comments, and they're shopping.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's the creativity level that I create with the auction, and it makes it a lot of fun.
And restate, that is on social media, guys. That's not in the store. That's right. On social media.
Yes.
That's incredible. It really is.
You don't have to wear a mask. So you're selling the experience.
Listen, you can sit at home if you want to wear a mask while you're on the store. That's your prerogative.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. Yeah, Dr. Mack, you want to roll us out with Mike? Tell him how much we appreciate it. I've already said it. From my heart.
We appreciate you. We know you're busy, but like April and I and Marilyn said, we want to just not have it all about facts and statistics and all about COVID. We want to educate the community in other things as well. Right. And I couldn't think of another business owner that I've encountered that would be more appropriate for this than you, Brother Mike. So I will definitely see you in the morning.
And one more plug. We've been marching and protesting. We've got charges, but we want conviction. But and God just placed this in my spirit that I don't want just a conviction for a prison sentence. I want a heart conviction. That's what I want. Because if this man just get a prison sentence, then he's going to go in there and join a white supremacist group in prison and continue in prison as a racist. But I want us to pray for a heart conviction. Because these people's minds need to be changed. Their hearts need to be changed. Their
Absolutely. Amen.
That's
yes. So once again, thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, Micheal Lamont Clothiers, Micheal Lamont Neckwear Incorporated. Amazing story. Again, we want the book and the movie when you are ready, when God says so. We'll definitely support you. And don't be surprised if a caravan from South Carolina is coming to your store in Maplewood.
All right.
Mike's going to give it to you. Exactly. And thank you to all of our viewers today. We really do appreciate you being with us again on this Friday. You've been with us for every Friday for the past 12 weeks, and we're going to keep doing it as long as Dr. Mack is down. We're down with him. So,
and thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. And remember now, this is going to be posted to Facebook, on all of our social media platforms, my personal page, also the network and HBCU, Dr. Max, on the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce page, on the Whittemore Community Magazine page. So Mike Lamont will be able to see your comments if you want to, drop a comment or a question. And also, Mike, we'll make sure that you get a copy of this as well. So
I shared it on my page.
Right. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Very good.
To get into the auction, you have to friend Mike. You can't join another group. You have to friend him so he can see you say white. So you have to friend, send him a friend request.
All right. So just want to thank some of our viewers, Marlene Woodyard, Chanel Reeves, Tanya Jones, every week. Thank you so much. Edward McQueen, Michelle Johnson Singleton. We appreciate you. Tara Hill Starks. Thank you so much for being here today. Thomas Jackson III, Amanda Butler. Just want to shout out some people who are always supporting us. Daryl Jackson, thank you so much, and Timothy McCrae. And again, we'll be back next Friday at 4 p.m. I don't know who we're going to have as a special guest, but we'll definitely be back with COVID-19 updates. We'll figure it out, won't we, Dr. Mack?
We sure will.
We'll make it happen. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Have a safe weekend. Wear your mask. Wear your mask.
Yes.
Wear your mask. All right. Peace.
Thank you.
All right.